Well, we hated that it had to be, that it had to happen because we need the EMS here in Andrews. But sometimes circumstance dictate what you have to do versus what you want to do. And in this case, the building that was housing the EMS personnel, which is really their home, they basically live there. The building that was housing the EMS personnel was built in the 70s, and I was actually a student in high school at the time, and used that for shop class, building construction, and several different other things. And when the building was brand new, we even had problems with it then, with the roof leaking. We had some electrical problems. We had some problems with floor sweating and so forth. Mm-hmm. But it's been there for over 40 years now, and we turned it into a housing unit for our EMS personnel. And when the roof continued to leak, among some other problems with the facility there, mold developed, and you can't live in a area under those circumstances. It's not fair. It's not fair to our EMS personnel. They work 48 on and 24 off. So, and they should be working 24 on and 48 off, but since we have staffing shortages with EMS personnel in Georgetown County, they're working 48 on, 24 off. A large part of their life spent inside that building, and we had the finances that did not dictate that we should pour any more money into that building because it was going to be problems later on. We need a long-term solution for it. So what we could do is move them down to Big Dam Swamp. Perfect new facility, excellent living quarters, very, very nice, very clean. But it is a few miles down the road, and it lengthens the call response time. So that was basically the only remedy we had to house the personnel at the time. And most of the residents in Andrews, and as well as the mayor and the town council, did not agree with it. So council Administrator Christian and Director Ellis is in the process of putting together a plan to temporarily fix the problem. Will it be satisfied to everybody in Andrews? I doubt it.
When you say fix the problem, will that bring an ambulance back to
Yes, we're trying to bring it back as much as we can. We have a few options that we're trying to work out, and when they get the details worked out of it, they'll call everybody and make contact with the town politicians and let them know what we're thinking about doing. And when they get the details worked out of it, it'll should be hopefully within a week or so.
So Andrews will see an ambulance back in the town limits, closer to the town limits, or
hopefully right here in town,
right
inside the city limits. And will it be 24 hours a day? Probably not, but majority of the day, yes.
Would it be shared with Big Dam?
Yes, it would be.
So it would be the same ambulance as at Big Dam?
Be the same ambulance.
Why not buy another ambulance? That way Big Dam can have one and Andrews.
Well, that's not the problem. The problem is the housing of the EMS personnel. We have a few options that they're looking at, and I'll wait till Director Ellis and Administrator Christian finalizes it before commenting more on that.
But what about the fact the mayor of Andrews, Mr. McCleary, and the town, they weren't told this was going to happen? I mean, they just woke up one day and the ambulance was gone. Do you think that was handled correctly?
No, absolutely not. Hindsight's always 20/20. We could have handled that differently, and I wish we would have, but we didn't. We learned from it and we move on. Then there's Administrator Christian and Director Ellis have taken a lot of heat for this. And it's, you know, they're trying to deal with the situation, and they have limited funds to deal with, just like I mentioned earlier with the budget process.